Okay, Assalamualaikum, welcome back. Alright, so the last video I have taught you how to perform basic operations such as input and output using an array. For example, you can store data inside an array, you can display the data that is inside an array and display as output. Alright, so other than input and output, you can also perform operations with your arrays. Okay, so elements inside an array can be manipulated and processed as needed by the program, meaning that the data that is inside the array can also be changed, can be manipulated, can be accessed. Okay, you can do a lot of things with the data that is inside your array. Okay, so in order for you to do all of these things, okay, you need to access the elements inside the array. Therefore, you need to know the index of each element. All right, so for example, if you take a look at this example right here, okay, we have three different arrays, int num1. So this is our first array. Inside there we have 2, 4, 6, and then we have another array. Okay, this array we have 10, 20, and 30. All right, so we're going to be using the third array, okay, because we want to add up these numbers and put it in the array called answer. So what we're trying to do here, okay, we want to add up this, we want to add up this, and we also want to add up this. Okay, so whenever we add these two elements, we're going to store it inside here. Once we've add up this and this, we're going to store it inside here. Once we add up this and this, we're going to store it inside here. Okay, notice here we're using the same index. This index, okay, the data inside num1, okay, which is 0, will be added up with the data inside index 0 as well. And we're going to store it inside another array with the same index, so that we know that this number that is inside this index and this number is inside this index will be stored inside another array with this index. It's easy for us to kind of track which number is which. Okay, so again, with an array, as we know, we have a lot of data. All right, if we want to access each element, we're going to be using a loop. All right, so in this case, since we know the size of the array, we're going to be using a counter loop. That's why it is best that we'll be using a for loop. Okay, so for example, if you want to add up these two numbers, okay, how we can write this program is using a for loop. For int I equals to 0, okay, I less than 3, I plus plus. Why only 3? Because there are 3 elements for this particular array, because we're trying to fill up each of this. Okay, imagine, all right, let's say I erase this first. Okay, imagine first of all, okay, int answer 3, so we will have an empty array. Okay, so once we do this, for int I equals to 0, okay, so answer, all right, answer I, right now I is 0, okay, so answer 0 equals to num1 I, which is also 0, plus num2 I is also 0. So num1 0 is 2, so we have 2 plus, okay, num2 0 is 10, okay, so we will get 12. So 12 will be stored inside answer 0. Answer 0 here will be stored at 12. Okay, and then once we've done that, we go back up. So I right now will be changed to 1. All right, from 0 it will change to 1. So when we go inside, instead of accessing the 0 now, we'll be accessing the 1. All right, so for example, let me erase all this again. All right, so num1 1, so we will have 4. Num2 1, we will have 20. So here is 20, 4 plus 20 will be 24. so will be stored inside answer index 1, so this will be 24. Again, when we go back up, I plus plus, this will become 2, so everything now will be 2, because 2 is still less than 3, all right? Because all of this, there are 3 elements, so we will stop at 2. Okay, 3 is not included. So then you will have 3. Okay, so let me erase this again. Okay, so what is inside index 2? For num1, we have 6. Okay, for num2, we have 30. 30 plus 6, 36. 36 will be stored inside answer with the index of 2. Alright, what did I write? 3, sorry, it's 2. Okay, so we have 2. Okay, because right now the index is 2, right? So 2, so we'll be stored here, so here will be 36. Okay, then once you've done that, okay, we'll move on to index 3, I plus plus, but 3 is not less than 3, so it will stop there. That's why you will get 12, 24, and 36. And this is how you add up the two numbers using more than one arrays. Alright? Alright, so for this question, okay, given that we have an array called grade and the size is 10, alright, and we have all of these elements that are already stored inside this array. So what we're trying to do here is we're trying to count the number of A's that are stored inside the array. So there's going to be some processing that needs to be done here because we're trying to count how many A's that are inside this particular array. Okay, so again, whenever we want to access the element inside the array, we need to use a loop. Okay, so let's try to do our loop here. So for, okay, int I equals 2. So what is the value we want to start with? We want to start with 0 because with the array, okay, the first element A here is stored inside index 0. Okay, so when do we stop? Okay, we will stop by the end here, which is E. Okay, so E is stored inside as the last element with the index of 9. Okay, so this is 0, then we have 1, we have 2, we have 3, we have 4, we have 5, we have 6, we have 7, we have 8, and lastly we have the index 9, which stores E. Alright, so we know that I, okay, must be less than 10. So meaning 10 is not included, so from 0 until 9. Alright, so then how do we get from 0 to 9? We're going to go I plus plus. Alright, so as simple as that. So the thing that is inside here is what we want to do to each element that is inside the array. Okay, so what we want to do here is we want to find A. So how do we find A? We need to make a decision. So we're asking a question here. So there's going to be a selection. So we're going to ask if, okay, right now, what are we accessing? We are accessing the first element, right? Okay, so how do we access the first element? We're just going to call the element, the array. Okay, so grade, so what is the first element? Which is 0, so this comes from I. Okay, if the first element here is equals to A, then what are we going to do? We're going to count this as something. Okay, we're going to count it plus 1. All right, so let's do count A, okay, equals to count A plus 1. Or we can just do simply count A plus plus. Okay, so what is count A? What we can do here is we can declare this as count A equals to 0, because right now we're trying to find how many A's that are stored inside this array. Okay, so right now, okay, since I is 0, okay, right now I is 0. Okay, so we're going to be checking grade I. So right now I is 0, right? So grade 0, is it equals to A? So right now what is inside grade 0? A. Is A equals to A? Yes. So count A plus plus. So we will have our count A. So starting from 0, right? Since this is true, it will be updated to 1. And that's how we count it. Right? So once we've done this, There's nothing else, right? We go back up. So I plus plus will now become 1. All right. So is 1 less than 10? Yes, that's true. So go inside now. I has been updated to 1. So grade 1. So what is our next element, which is inside index 1? C. Is C equals to A? No. So it will skip this, go back up. All right. I equals to 2. So is 2 less than 10? True. So it will go inside here. Then we have grade 2. So index 2 have B. Is B equals to A? No. Go back up. So I equals to 3. Is 3 less than 10? So that is true. So we go inside. So we have grade 3. So grade 3 we will have A. Okay. So is A equals to A? Yeah, that's true. So count A plus plus. This now becomes 2. So it goes back up. I equals to 4. So is 4 less than 10? True. So grade 4, okay, equals to A? Yes, that's true. So count A now will be updated to 3. Okay, then it goes back up. I plus plus, it becomes a 5. So is 5 less than 10? True. So grade 5, what is inside grade 5? You will have D. Okay, is D equals to A? No. So skip this, go back up. I equals to 6. Is 6 less than 10? That's true. Okay, so what is inside grade 6? Okay, so what is inside grade 6? You will have C. Is C equals to A? No. Skip, go back up. I equals to 7. All right, so is 7 less than 10? That's true. So grade 7 equals to A, which is A here inside grade 7. So is A equals to A? That's true. So count A equals to 4. All right, because it's been updated. So it goes back up. I plus plus, this now becomes 8. All right, is 8 less than 10? That's true. So what is inside 8? We have B. Is B equals to A? No. All right, so this is B. All right, no. So skip this, go back up. I equals to 9. Is 9 less than 10? That's true. So grade 9, what is inside grade 9? You have E. Is E equals to A? No. So it will skip this, it goes back up. I equals to 10. Now, is 10 less than 10? That is false. All right, so in the end, what we can do here is C out, okay, quantity of A. Where do we get it? We get it from count A. All right, so it's easy as that. So this is how we process each element inside the array. Okay. Okay, so moving on to this question, okay, given that this array called num, okay, and the size is 10, so these are all the elements that are stored inside this array, all right. So the first question says, using the array, display the total of all of the numbers. So again, whenever we want to access each element inside the array, we're going to have to use a loop, all right. So for 8i equals to, let's say I do 0 because the first element is stored in index 0, so I must be less than 10 because that is the size. So from 0 until 9, 10 is not included, then I plus plus. Okay, so it's easy for you to just remember with array, the index always starts with 0 and the size is always minus 1 of the size. Okay, when you will start, it will start minus 1 from the size. All right, so what are we going to do with each of these elements? So we're going to start off with array element 0, okay, index 0. So what we're going to do is we're going to total it up. So we can do total equals to total plus, what are we accessing? We are accessing the element. So the first element is 0, which comes from I. All right, so again, we're going to have to declare this int total equals to 0. So in the end, we can just do C out total is total. So that is how we total up each element that is stored inside the array. So firstly, we're going to get the element 0, which is 10. So after 10, we're going to add up with 2. So after add up with 2, we're going to add up with 55. Then we add up with 3 until the end of the array. Okay, and that is how we solve the first question. All right, now using the same array, we're going to move on to the next question. it says using the array display the highest number. So let me remove this. Okay, so let us move on to the next question. Okay, we're going to find the highest number. So whenever we want to find the highest of something, we need to set what is our highest number. Okay, so in this case, we can just automatically set the first number that is stored inside the array to be the highest number. Okay, so we can do here num0. Okay, so int highest equals to num0, because we can start by saying that the first number is always the highest, right? Okay, or the lowest. So the first is, imagine there's no, we're not looking at the other numbers yet, all right? We're only looking at the first number. So the first number is always the highest or the lowest number, all right? So that is why we set here int highest equals to num0. Okay, since we already know what is the highest, we can check next number and so on, all right? So again, we're going to need a loop for that because we're accessing each element. So int I equals to, we can always do equals to 0, but why? Because we've already said that the highest starts off with the first index, which is 10. So why do we need to check the number with itself? You know what I mean? Okay, so you can just do I equals to 1. You can do I equals to 0 if you want. There's no harm in that, but you can, I think it's best that you do int I equals to 1. Okay, since we already set the highest as the first element num0 here. Okay, so then you go I less than 10. Okay, since we're stopping at the last element, all right? So I plus plus, then open your curly braces. Okay, so what are we going to do with this one? We're going to check with the highest, all right? So let's say I equals to 1. So right now, I equals to 1, right? Is 1 less than 10? That's true. So we're going to check this number. Since we already set this as the highest, so right now the highest is equals to 10. Okay, so we're going to check, is 2 bigger than 10? Okay, if 2 is bigger than 10, then 2 will be the highest number. Okay, so we're going to ask a question here, if, so how do we access the data 2 here? We're going to access the index, so we're going to write num I. Because I starts with 1, so we're accessing the next element, which is 2. Okay, so if num I is more than highest, then it will be the highest number. So highest equals to num I. Okay, so for example, if num I right now is 2, is 2 more than highest, which is 10? No. So that is why we're going to skip this, okay, and move upwards. Okay, go back up. So then I equals to I plus plus, so I equals to 2. So is 2 less than 10? That's true, go inside. So what is the next index? So we have 55. So here, is 55 more than 10? Yes, that is true. So now it will go inside here. The highest will now be 55. Highest equals to num I. What's inside num I? So 55. So highest equals to 55. Alright, so this has been updated. So go back up. So go back up. I equals to 3. Okay, so what is the third one? The fourth element, which is here. So 3. Alright, is 3 less than 10? That's true. So is 3 more than highest? So highest has been updated to 55, right? So is 3 more than 55? No. Alright, so the highest is still 55, so we go back up. So then update it to 4. So is 4 less than 10? That's true. So is 4 more than 55? False. So it goes back up again. I equals to 5. Is 5 less than 10? That's true. So what is the next element, which is 8? Alright. So 8, is 8 more than 55? No. So you go back up again. I equals to 6. So is 6 less than 10? That's true. Alright. So what is our sixth element? So we have 14, all right? Is 14 more than 55? That is also false. Go back up, I equals to 7. So is 7 less than 10? That's true, all right? So go inside. Then what is inside index 7? We have 9. So is 9 more than 55? No, all right? So it goes back up until the end. We have 1. So in the end, our highest will be 55, all right? So what do we need to do now? We just need to display C out highest number is highest. All right, so basically that's that, all right? And that is how you solve this problem. Okay, so let's move on to the last question, all right? So given this array declaration where we have an array called gender with a size of 50, all right? So using this array declaration, we're going to receive the gender from user and store them inside the array gender, all right? So again, whenever we have things that we want to repeat, okay, we're going to have to use repetition. In this case, we don't know when to stop, so we're going to be using a sentinel loop, all right? So the user will stop entering the data as soon as they enter the character S, all right? So we're going to be using a do while loop, okay? So do, and then you will have while, all right? So this will be our condition. So C out, what do we want to repeat here? We're going to repeat enter gender. Okay, so C in gen, all right? So we're going to have to declare this as character as well, all right? So C in gen, all right? So what we're going to do with this gender, we're going to store it inside our array. So we're going to do gender, okay, I equals to gen. Right now I doesn't exist, so we're going to create our I. Int I equals to 0, because we're going to start the I, the index, with 0. So that is the first element that will be storing the gender. All right, so this will continue until, all right, so before that, how do we get from one element to another? We're going to do I plus plus. So that is also important. So in the end, when do we stop? This loop will stop, okay, if the user enters S. If the user doesn't enter S, then it will continue. All right, so we can do this. So it will keep looping until the user enters S. Now, there's another thing that you can do here as well. All right, you can write if, okay, if gen, okay, we can put it here after the user enters gen. All right, if gen equals to S, so as soon as the user enters S, it will break. This is optional. You can put this in if you want. If you put this in, it will, let's say the user enters here, first of all, it enters F, okay? Is F equals to S? No. So it will continue and save the data inside the array. But if the user here enters S, so S equals to S, right? Then it will break. Break means it will get out of the loop. So it will skip all of this, meaning that it will not store the gen or the S, okay, into the array. So you can do that if you want, all right? So once we have stored the array, so this is the loop for input, okay? So we're going to process what is inside the loop, inside the array, all right? So in order for us to access the elements inside the array, we're going to have to use another loop, all right? So this is a loop for process, okay? So for, so what is inside our loop, okay? So we're going to start off with, let's say, just use another index, j equals to 0, because the first element will be 0, okay? So it will stop until I, all right, here, I, okay? Since we don't include S, since we have provided this, okay, it will break here, so we can just do j less than I, okay? So j plus plus. So for example, let's say the user here enters F, Okay, so f will be stored inside here. So I, let's see here, gender I is 0, right? So equals to f. All right, so f will be stored inside the first index 0. Okay, so I plus plus, so I will now become 1. So when we go back up, so let's say here it enters s. Okay, so it will break, so meaning that our I will be 1. So here it will be stored as 1. So this is true because 1 is not included, so there is 1 element inside there. You get me? Okay, so that is why we need the I there. The I here will indicate what is the last element that was stored inside the array, I mean the size. All right, so this will determine the size of the array. All right, so open up your curly braces. So what are we going to do with this? Okay, so the question says count the number of male and female inside the array. So we're going to do if. So how do we count the number of male and female? So each element that we access, we need to check. All right, so here we have gender j. Okay, gender j, if it's equals to f, then we can count the number of f inside there. Okay, so count f plus plus. All right, so again we need to declare count f as 0. Okay, we can do the same for m as well. Okay, so if down here, okay, else if gender j equals to m, then we have count m plus plus. Okay, so meaning that if the element that is inside there is equals to m, then we're going to count it as count m. All right, so that is a process for counting the number of female and the number of male inside the array. All right, so in the end what we're going to do is we're going to count, we're going to display which gender has the highest quantity and also display its quantity. So since we have counted the f and also the m, all right, so we can ask the question here, if, okay, if count f is more than count m, then of course we know that the female has the highest quantity. All right, so we can do highest equals to, we're going to do here f. Okay, because that's what we want to display there, right? Highest gender f. All right, so else, okay, the highest is m. All right, so since we have counted both of this, all right, if the count of f is higher than m, then the highest is female. Otherwise, if m is bigger than f, then of course the highest is m. All right, so in the end we can just display C out highest gender equals to, not equals, uses that colon, we have highest. Okay, so then we also have another output, so C out quantity So we want to find the quantity of the highest gender, right? Okay, so what we can do here is we can add on another variable, so highest quant, okay, equals to count f. Okay, so same thing for this one, highest quant equals to count f. So depending on which one it is, okay, it will display the count respectively. All right, so if f is the highest, then it will display count f. If m is the highest, then it will display count m. All right, so here we can write highest quant as the output. Right? So that is how we solve this problem. And remember, whenever you want to access each element inside the array, please use a for loop. All right? And that is the end of this chapter. Thank you, class.